guys, so I have filmed a bunch of videos today and we're just gonna keep rolling. So I got my Sonic drink with me and I hope that you guys can get yourself a Sonic drink or a cup of coffee or whatever your beverage of choice and sip on that and just enjoy talking about homeschool curriculum with me, because I'm sure if you clicked on this video, you are just as nerdy as me about homeschool curriculum. So anyway, hey guys, if you are new here, I'm so glad that you're here. I'm actually going to be unboxing, showing you guys all of the books that are in the Sonlight Level J, the HBL J for Sonlight. Their names are, sorry, their names are confusing, but anyway, I am so excited to share this with you guys because I love it. We have started it, we're like 5 weeks in, but I'm not going to do a full review until we complete it. So this video isn't really a review, but I will be like reviewing a few of the books that we have already completed as I go and show you all of the books and show you the curriculum. So I am so excited. I love Sonlight, you guys. Sonlight is just my jam. Anytime I talk about Sonlight, people are like, what is that? I'm like, it's a literature-based curriculum. And that is my dream come true, honestly. Learning through reading, through good books, like good classic literature, like, you know, not just like boring classics. There are some of those, I mean, I guess, but I don't know. I don't think any of these books are boring. I wish I could do this curriculum myself, honestly. I would love to spend all this time reading all these books, sitting in my bed, just like reading books. Like, I was not homeschooled as a kid, but if I were, this would have been my dream curriculum because I love to read, and all these books look super interesting to me, and the ones that my son has read so far and the read alouds I have read so far to him have been top-notch amazing. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you are new, hello, my name is Madison. I have 4 kids, ages 14, 6, 3, and 1. My 14-year-old who's using this curriculum right now, he's in 8th grade. I have lots of videos where I talk about all the health issues he had this year. He actually started off in public school. I had put him back in public school, which was a dumb decision. But he is back to homeschooling where he belongs, and we chose to go with Sonlight for the first time ever for him and for my little ones. I will have another video up showing the lowest level that Sonlight has for their HBL, the preschool level, which, spoiler, I love as well. So I'll have a whole video talking about that soon. I'm actually going to film that after this, so definitely be on the lookout for that video. But I love this one so much, the J, and I feel like there's not a lot of videos out on YouTube that I was able to find on this level. There are some videos of some great YouTube moms I respect that have shown the pre-K level, although I am still going to show you guys that in a future video because I know that I like seeing from my favorite homeschool mom YouTubers what they think of certain curriculums. So even though there are videos already up about that curriculum, I still think that for those of you that like me and relate to me, you might enjoy my perspective on it. So anyway, but this one I feel like there's barely any out there. And so I'm so excited to show you guys all of the books, talk about what we've read so far, talk about how we feel about it so far, and just I hope you can get yourself a drink and, you know, get nerdy with me for a little bit. All about homeschool curriculum. Does it get any better than that? I always say this because I want to be clear that I believe homeschooling is so much more than the curriculum, so much more than the bookwork, so much more. And that's why I actually did film earlier today, and I probably will already have it up, not sure, but a homeschool mom update video. And in that video I talk about extracurriculars, how we're feeling about our curriculum, certain curriculums so far, and just kind of like random life stuff because homeschooling is so much more than just the curriculum. So I do plan on having videos like that out. And then also I want to do some day in the life homeschool videos, some days where I show like centered around the curriculum and how that's going, and some days where I show that we're doing other things that don't have to do with books. So anyway, but this is about books. This is about a lot of books. I probably put it in the intro. all the books. It's a lot of books, and it brought me so much joy. It was like literally Christmas when the Sonlight box arrived. Okay, so I talk about the read alouds and the recent books somewhat in my son's 8th grade homeschool curriculum review video, where I talk about all the curriculum that we use this year and what I thought about it, and I'm brutally honest in that video. But while I'm showing you guys everything that's in this curriculum, I just thought I would talk about it for a minute. So these are the 2 read alouds that we have done so far. We have absolutely loved both of them. So with Sonlight, if you're not familiar with it, you can buy these stickers that you can put on the books, and so it will tell you like what level it is. So when you're storing it or whatever, it's just easier to see, you know, that these all books go all with the level J curriculum. So that is nice. But we started, the level J starts, the read aloud is Holes. This is like my favorite book, like one of my top 10 favorite books of all time, just personally. I love this book. I'm a really big fan of like middle grade novels, so I love Holes. And my son also enjoyed it. There's just so much to talk about. It's like real life stuff. And that's what I like about Sonlight curriculum, is they don't use books that are watered down or whatever. Like, this is real literature. It is a Newbery Medal Award winner, and there's a reason for it. Now, it's not inappropriate or anything, but it's real teenage boys that are going through stuff, you know, when they go to dig these holes and everything. So it just sparked a lot of really good conversations, and I really enjoyed reading it. Okay, the second read aloud that you will read if you follow their schedule is The Watsons Go to Birmingham. We are not finished with this yet, but we are close, and it is really good as well. It has a similar vibe, I feel like, to Holes, but it's about a family. And I am always interested in books about families because I love my family, and I think, oh, I'm really going to enjoy reading a book about a family. But when you read adult books about families, it tends to be really tough stuff, like really tough stuff, and like depressing, and it's just not like an uplifting family story that I have found. But this is, it talks about, you know, the interesting things that happen in a family. It's actually really funny. It's hilarious, some of the stuff that happens with these kids. It's from the perspective of one of the little boys in the family, and it's actually made Carter and I laugh a lot, and it's just so true, and I think it just depicts a family perfectly and the ups and downs of that. So we have really enjoyed reading this, and there's just something about reading a book together, like reading it aloud to him, or I guess if I didn't enjoy reading aloud, we could listen to an audiobook or something, but it really does make a difference when you're doing it together instead of it just being like a solitary act of reading the book on your own. So I have enjoyed both of the read alouds so far. We give them both 5 stars. Love them. And then I'm just going to go through the books that we have read, or he has read so far, and then I'll just show you guys the other books and maybe mention some things I think about it. But if we haven't read it yet, obviously can't say whether it's good or not. But this is a book, there are some books that you read aloud, the parent reads to the child. Then there are some books that are kind of more fun books, I would consider them, that they read to themselves. And then there are other books that are more, not textbook, but just a little bit more difficult reads that they also read on their own. And then, so you follow something like this, a schedule, which I'll give you guys a closer look of this.
Okay, I thought I would quickly show you guys what inside the Level J History of Science looks like. So if you're new to Sonlight, they have all of these tabs for each week. So you can go to like week 1. And one of my children has colored in this, I guess. But here is week 1. You see, we just kind of like check it off. So these are some of the books that I'm going to be showing you guys that he has been reading. It's like Truth and Transformation. So like this is the Bible section. So it's a History, Bible, Literature program. So this is Bible. This is History and Geography, these books. This is read alouds, and then this is his like individual reader that goes along with his language arts. So you don't have to do the language arts because it's history, Bible, literature, but we added on the language arts, which is this. So it's not too much. because you're reading the same book that you do with the history, Bible, literature. And then you just have like some dictation, and there's like some worksheets, creative expression, and it will give you, like, this is the dictation that you're supposed to practice during the week. And then the parent reads it to you, and you try to write it properly, like with proper punctuation and everything. And then, like, in the history, Bible, literature, this is about how much reading that you would have in a week. And it's been very doable, I would say. Definitely a lot of work, but very doable. This is week 2. And then they have like a Bible verse that you memorize each week. And then they have like some kind of discussion, like to discuss after you read what are some of Anaximander's new ideas. And then you can answer. So I will just kind of have him read this to himself. We haven't really done much of this, or he just doesn't even read it most of the time, but maybe we'll find time to utilize this info at some point. But I mostly just have him dictate to me like what he read that day, and that's just kind of how we do it for now. But let's just pull up like further down in the curriculum just so you guys can see. So this is something that he will be reading. So it's pretty similar the whole year, just different books that you are reading. And then as for like the language arts, it's kind of like the same thing. It's on the Giver. And there's a character sketch rubric. And honestly, I haven't gotten super into the language arts, and so I wasn't loving it, but I think we just haven't fully given it a chance. So my hope is that this summer we can maybe focus on certain parts of this program that we haven't fully learned, because it's our first time using Sonlight, and really get into it. Like character sketches today, flesh out your character sketch notes into paragraphs. Here's an example of what a completed character sketch might look like. That is really cool, and Carter's actually a really good writer, and I want him to write the story of what happened to him with his surgeries and all of that. So I think this language arts could be really good for him because it's pretty gentle, but also thorough. So I think this will be really good. We just need to kind of fit it into our schedule better and get more accustomed to it. And I think in the summer, when we have less activities and things going on, will be a good time for that. So that's kind of my plan for that. But yeah, that is it. I mean, it's just the same thing. This is just what a typical week looks like. And just different books. But we have really been enjoying this program. There's different sections. What are these sections for? Reading assignments and notes for the read alouds. We have not been using these, and we need to. So see, there's so much to this program. Like for the Watsons go to Birmingham. I think I forgot because I was like, what is section 3? So this is where it is. I have been looking for this. And I was like, why can't I find, like, because I thought it would be so fun to have some questions and answers. How long is daily sentence? Does it seem reasonable? Oh, I'm so mad because I've been looking for these. Well, now I found them. I actually saw Science Mama here on YouTube say that she just takes these out and folds them and puts them in the read aloud books. I think I'm going to start doing that because otherwise we just don't use them or we even forget where they are. So that's what that section is. And then this is Instructor's Guide Resources. So I don't think I'll ever really use that. But yeah, that is everything that you get in this big old binder. This is, I think, the week that he is on now. Actually, I think he's on the next week. But he kind of stopped checking things off, which clearly we need to get back into that. So I feel like that this is an amazing program, but I do think like you know, the reading is a lot in itself, and I feel like he gets that done and it's not a big deal. But then adding in all the little extra things and getting into the routine and used to that, I think it's just going to take time. And we do have 3 younger children, so you know, typically an older child will probably have done Sonlight in the past and will have routines and been accustomed to it already. But since this is new to us and we have the 3 younger kids and life's busy, we're still learning. But I think as time goes on through this, we will get really used to the Sonlight curriculum. I also have it for my younger kids, and it will just come more naturally as to all the little extra things you're supposed to do.
But this book he also really enjoyed. I talked about in his 8th grade curriculum reviews video that he did not enjoy one of the books that he read from a different curriculum, but he has loved all of these books so far. This one in particular he liked more than this one. So this was the first one he read, The Thief. He said this was good, but it was really, really slow for an extremely long time. And it was good that it was an assigned book to read, because otherwise he probably wouldn't have gotten very far in it since it was so slow for such a long period of time. But he said it still was a good book and he's glad that he read it. But this one he liked more, Going Solo. This is by Roald Dahl, which, you know, he is the author of Matilda, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, a lot of really, really good books. Like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory is also one of my favorite books of all time. So Carter said this was really good. I hadn't read this one. I love this quote on the back. It says, "A life is made up of a great number of small incidents and a small number of great ones." Apparently it's something to do with, like, he thinks he's blind, or he does go blind, or I don't know. It sounds uplifting and interesting as far as what Carter said, and he said he really enjoyed it. He's reading Archimedes and the Door of Science. I'm pretty sure I read some of this to him with one of his science curriculums when he was in like 4th or 5th grade. And it was really good. I enjoyed it then. So I haven't been reading it now. He doesn't remember it from being that young. But he says he's really enjoying it and that it's interesting. Oh, something that we have been loving, this is kind of like a read aloud, is this poetry book. This is the Book of Nature Poetry. It's by National Geographic. It has actual photos of nature. They are beautiful. And I read this to all of my kids in the morning. Just a quick poem. Really, it's just Carter, the 14-year-old, and then my 6-year-old that actually listen. Sometimes the 3-year-old will look at the pictures and enjoy the pictures and slightly listen. But my 6-year-old really enjoys listening to the poetry. So this is a curriculum meant for 8th grade or 9th graders, but he really enjoys this book. And so I think that is just another amazing thing about homeschooling. But and he really likes the section, my 6-year-old, that has to do with catastrophes, I think they call it, or something like hurricanes, tornadoes. There's poetry. Oh, here we go. In distress is what they call it. But he's really interested in, you know, like volcanoes and avalanche, tsunami, Fire and Ice. This is one of my favorite poems of all time by Robert Frost. Some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice. From what I've tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. But if it had to perish twice, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction, ice is also great and would suffice. So it has like some really good classic poetry, and then sometimes we'll read a poem and we're like, we have no idea what that meant. And then other times we'll read it and we'll be like, oh, that was a good one. That's kind of something we'll say. We'll be like, oh, that was a good one. So we have loved this, and we use this in our morning time, kind of like our morning basket or whatever, morning time. And then these are his other books that he's reading right now. So currently he is reading all of this. I am reading aloud to him this. We're almost done with that though. And I'm reading aloud to him this. So that is all that you kind of have like at once. But it's only like a chapter or a few pages or whatever that it will tell you. So like he has the story of science. It will say like chapter 15 and pages 134 to 135. So this is the story of science, which just kind of feels like a textbook to me. It kind of looks like a textbook to me, but, and this is, HBLK is a science, it's a history of science is what it's about. So instead of like American history, it's a history of science. So I like jumped on that. I'm all about math and science. Those are two of my like favorite subjects. And so, although I love reading and English too, but when I saw history was never really my thing. So when I saw a history of science, I was like, ooh, that sounds interesting. He's got to do that. But let's see. So 135, Hero and Airhead. Okay, so I don't know what that's about, but that looks interesting. So it kind of has like a textbook feel, but it's written in a more interesting way than a typical textbook would be. So, but it definitely has, you know, like the little boxes and sections, just kind of like a textbook might be. So, this one's cool. Do you like numbers in their prime? Do you like puzzles? Well, prime numbers are puzzlers. They have obsessed a lot of thinkers. What is a prime number? A prime is a number greater than 1 that can only be evenly divided by 1 and by itself. Anyway, natural numbers. So it's like talking about prime numbers, but it's showing it in like a puzzle form. It's talking about how it's like a puzzle. That's something that will catch my son's attention like 100%. Games, puzzles, you know, that type of thing. He loves chess. He plays chess. So they make it in, it's like not a dry, boring textbook. You know what I mean? So this is one of the books that you will get in this curriculum and that he's currently reading. And then he's also reading String, Straight Edge, and Shadow. The story of geometry recreates the atmosphere of ancient times using only 3 simple tools: the string, the straight edge, and the shadow. Men discovered the basic principles and constructions of elementary geometry more than 2,000 years ago. This engrossing book reveals how these discoveries were made and shows how they are related to the early civilizations of Mesopotamia, Egypt, and Greece. So, very interesting. I'm telling you, I wish I could read these. And then Truth and Transformation. So this says, a manifesto for ailing nations. This is like a quote of someone reviewing a tour de force from someone who sees us from the outside as well as the inside. There is urgency about Vishal's excellent argument. His logic is impeccable and forceful. So we live in times marked by much confusion and apprehension. In this landmark book, international scholar Vishal I'm not going to try and say his name, expounds the gospel's power to heal Western society. With insights drawn from real-life struggles against corruption and years of study, he delves into the ideological roots of oppression. Reform, he urges, is never without controversy, yet reforming our culture's values is a necessary precursor to liberation and hope. How cool is that to be reading something like that when you're 14 years old? Like, how impactful will that be on his life? Books can impact lives, I'm telling you. And when you give your kids good literature that is put together by a curriculum that you trust, I think that's amazing. So, love that. So interesting. Okay, so how am I going to go about the rest of these books? Okay, and I probably should move a little faster. I'm going to bore y'all to tears. Okay, so we got some more of just like the readers, as they call it. So the other books, like these, were Bible. So Truth and Transformation is because this is a history Bible literature program. So Truth and Transformation is considered part of the Bible part of his curriculum. The Story of Science is considered history and geography. Archimedes and the Door of Science considered history and geography as well. And then it looks like this one was probably history and geography, but it looks like he's probably already finished this because it's not on this paper. And it looks like he needs a new reader, The Gamage Cup, that I have not given him yet. So we will look into that as we find it, hopefully. So one of the readers is Whittington. So this is Bernie keeps a barn full of animals the rest of the world has no use for. This is the earthy story of Bernie's barn, not without its life and death dramas. It is the story of Bernie's grandson, Ben, who's reading below grade level and struggles with lessons from his sister, Abby, every day in the barn. It is the rousing and exotic tale that Cat Whittington tells as balm for Ben after the grueling lessons. The adventures of Dick Whittington who once made his fortune because of a nameless cat. Masterfully interwoven, these threads become a novel about the healing, transcendent power of storytelling, and how, if you have loved ones surrounding you and good stories to tell, to listen to, and to read, you have just about everything of true value in this world. Can it get better than that? Who doesn't want to read that? I want to read this book right now. Like, that is so good. And I was honestly like, I hadn't heard of this book, and I was looking at the cover like, is this meant for the preschool curriculum? Like, it's a cat, you know? Wow. That sounds so good. And it reminds me of Charlotte's Web. It's giving me Charlotte's Web vibes, which I'm not against. I actually love Charlotte's Web. There's actually a funny meme that's like a kid that wrote in the book Charlotte's Web, like, too sad, don't read, or something, and they're like, I guess this is my 8-year-old's first book review or something. Oh, nerdy memes. Anyway, that sounds so good, and it's like, I'm hoping this is a read aloud, actually. It may be a book that he just reads on his own, but it may have to become a read aloud because it's homeschool and we can do what we want. But that sounds so good, and like so many good things to talk about. Like, if you have loved ones surrounding you and good stories to tell, to listen to, and to read, you have just about everything of true value in this world. And that's what I love about this curriculum. Like, that's crazy that just came like full circle. That is what I was saying about having like good literature and how impactful it can be, and how what is the word, intimate it is to read a story with someone, even when they're older. Even, you don't just have to read to your little children. You can read chapter books to your grown children. So anyway, so excited to read that. That sounds so good. Half a Chance. I'm not going to read all of the back of the books for you guys, but I'll try to read some. So Half a Chance. Lucy's family has just moved to an old house on a New Hampshire lake, and her dad, a famous photographer, is already leaving on another business trip. Maybe it's because she misses him. Maybe it's because she wants to show him that she's talented too. So when Lucy discovers her dad is judging a photography contest, she decides to enter. Is her eye for photography really something special? Now, at last, she might find out. As she seeks out the perfect subjects for her photos, Lucy gets to know Nate, the boy living in the cottage next door. He's been coming to the lake to stay with his grandmother every summer since he was a baby. With Nate, Lucy takes pictures of the mountains, the lake, and the loons. But slowly her camera reveals what her friend doesn't want to see. His family is changing in ways that threaten what he treasures most. Cynthia Lord, Newbery Honor winning award author of Rules, tells a deeply moving story about the joys of summer, the challenges of friendship, and the power of art to change lives. These books are so good. Oh my gosh. My family is like in the living room. If they can hear me, they probably think I'm crazy. That sounds so good. I want to read all of these right now. You guys are going to think I'm crazy too. Hopefully you're just as crazy as I am about books. Okay, our only May Amelia is another one, the beloved Newbery Honor book about a spirited heroine who grows up under trying circumstances with a sense of adventure and tremendous heart. It isn't easy being a pioneer in the state of Washington in 1899. Okay, so this is like historical fiction, so they kind of do that, I think, to make it more interesting, you know. It's particularly hard when you're the only girl who's ever been born in the new settlement. With 7 older brothers, oh, my daughter has 3 older brothers, not 7, thank goodness, and a love of adventure, May Amelia Jackson just can't seem to abide her family's insistence that she behave like a proper young lady. She's sure she could do better if only there was at least one other girl living along the banks of the Nasal River. And now that Mama's going to have a baby, maybe there's finally hope for a sister. I just love that because she has a bunch of older brothers, just like my daughter does. I had 4 sisters, so I didn't have any brothers. Now I have a daughter with 3 older brothers, so gotta get prepared. Okay, I'm acting like these books are for me. They're for my son. Anyway, Penny from Heaven, okay? One summer full of secrets and surprises. Penny and her cousin Frankie have their summer plans all worked out. They're going to get, oh, this is kind of fun that these are like summary books. I feel like it would be nice to read these in the summer. I am like wondering if we should just keep going with this in the summer. I don't know, but I don't think my son will like that idea. They're going to get jobs at Uncle Ralphie's store and make some extra cash. They're going to sneak into the local swimming pool, Frankie's idea, eat butter pecan ice cream, Penny's idea, and listen to ball games on the radio, rooting for dem bums, aka the Brooklyn Dodgers. But Frankie's always getting into trouble, and Penny's always getting caught between the two sides of her family. And this summer they'll discover that sometimes even the best laid plans work out in the most unexpected ways. So good. And I love that all of these books are about like that awkward in-between age, you know, being like a teenager or whatever, and the family dynamics and how hard that can be. So I think that's awesome. Okay, the next one is Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and Other Tales. So this is obviously a classic. I don't think I need to read the back for you guys. But I think that's a wonderful book to read. I've actually never read it before. So I think that's fantastic that he will add this to books that he has read. That will be really interesting. Richard Peck, The Teacher's Funeral. I guess Richard Peck's the author. The Teacher's Funeral. Yeesh. That sounds rough, but also funny. I don't know why. I guess it's because the picture is like the teacher's just like dead under the desk or something. Like what? School is the only thing standing between 15-year-old Russell Culver and his dream. Now that his teachers hauled off and died, maybe Hominy Ridge School will be shut down for good and he can light out for the endless skies of the Dakotas to join a team of harvesters working the new 1904 all-steel threshing machines. No such luck. Russell and his schoolmates are about to be ruled by a new teacher who's Russell's worst nightmare. Of course, no teacher is a match for Russell, Pearl, Flo Piers, Little Britches, the whole bunch. They're going to do whatever it takes to sink the school, even if it means stealing supplies, rustic vandalism, a blazing boys' privy, and more snakes than you can shake a stick at. That's hilarious. That makes me think of my grandfather who says he grew up on a farm. He became an engineer, but he grew up on a farm and he said he brought cow manure to school. I think he denies that now, but he told me. He told me, and I know it's true. Anyway, okay, the Mozart season. This sounds cool. I love music. You know, Henry's in piano. My mom is a piano teacher, so love music. Remember what's down inside you, all covered up, the things of your soul, the important secret things, the story of you, all buried. Let the music caress it out into the open. That sounds amazing. Love that. Okay, then the Westing game. Let's see. Winner of the Newbery Medal. A super sharp mystery. Ooh, Carter loves mysteries. Confoundingly clever and very funny. A bizarre chain of... Oh, he likes funny. He's like me. He has my sarcastic sense of humor. A bizarre chain of events begins with 16 unlikely people gather for the reading of Samuel W. Westing's will. And though no one knows why, the eccentric, game-loving millionaire has chosen a virtual stranger and a possible murderer to inherit his vast fortune. One thing's for sure, Sam Westing may be dead, but that won't stop him from playing one last game. Oh, Carter's gonna love this. Mystery, funny, about games. He loves video games and board games and chess and all that. That's gonna be a great book for him. I'm excited for that. Okay, the next one, Stuff Matters. Let's see, exploring the marvelous materials that shape our man-made world. So I love learning through these types of books. Like, I love learning about different things like nutrition or self-help or whatever through like a novel like this and not like a boring textbook. So I love that he gets to do the same. So this one is... it says it's winner of the National Academy of Sciences 2015 Communication Award for books, winner of the Royal Society Winton Prize for Science Books. That's what I'm talking about with Sonlight. They don't pick like watered down books that are just kind of like, oh, they're nice and squeaky clean and they don't make any waves. Like, no, they pick real award-winning books. So I love that. Why is glass see-through? What makes elastic stretchy? Why does any material look and behave the way it does? These are the sorts of questions that renowned materials scientist Mark Mandownick constantly asks himself. He studies objects as ordinary as an envelope and as unexpected as concrete cloth, uncovering the fascinating secrets that hold together our physical world. In Stuff Matters, he explores the materials he encounters in a typical morning, from the steel in his razor to the foam in his sneakers. Full of enthralling tales of the miracles of engineering that permeate our lives, Stuff Matters will make you see stuff in a whole new way. That sounds so good. Okay, then we have Code Talker. Code Talker. A novel about the Navajo Marines of World War II. Interesting. Unbreakable. The United States is at war, and 16-year-old Ned Begay wants to join the cause, especially when he hears the Navajos are being specifically recruited by the Marine Corps. So he claims he's old enough to enlist, breezes his way through boot camp, and suddenly finds himself involved in a top secret task, one that's exclusively performed by Navajos. I hope I'm saying that right. He's become a code talker. Now Ned must brave some of the heaviest fighting of the war, and with his native Navajo language as code, send crucial messages back and forth to aid in the conflict against Japan. His experiences in the Pacific, from Guadalcanal to Iwo Jima, and beyond. I said I didn't like history. Will leave him forever changed. Sounds very interesting. I apologize for my reading, but that one also sounds really good. Okay. Which none can shut. Remarkable true stories of God's miraculous work in the Muslim world. That was interesting. Treasure Island, a classic that everyone should read. I'm excited for him to read that. Interpreting Genesis 1 with Integrity, condensed outlined edition. I love that. I'm actually joined a ladies' Bible study recently that is very informative, a great Bible study, because I want to learn more about the Bible to be able to teach my children, and just, because it's a good thing to know. So I love that they include that in this. Oh, this one looks really interesting. Evolution 2.0, Breaking the Deadlock Between Darwin and Design. I actually want to read this because I want to get more knowledgeable on the whole debate of evolution and everything. So I want to understand as much as I can about all of that. So I think I am definitely going to read some of these that are just meant for him to read. I'm definitely going to read myself. Which is good because then we can talk about it. So it benefits both of us and his schooling and just all around. So The Outlaws of Sherwood takes us back to those wonderful first meetings between Robin Hood and his followers. So strong is the power of the story that it catches us all over again. Oh, about Robin Hood. Robin is an apprentice forester in the woods of Nottingham. The arrows he makes and sells earn barely enough extra coin to retain the title to his father's small lands. The sheriff of Nottingham's jealousy toward Robin's father is just as fierce toward his son, and the sheriff's men take every opportunity to harass the young woodsman. But when Robin defends himself by accidentally killing one of the sheriff's men, he flees into Sherwood Forest, knowing that he has not only lost his father's land and good name forever, but that he will live the rest of his days as a hunted man. But his friends, Much, the miller's son, and Lady Marian, Saxon daughter of a half-Norman lord who despises his Saxon blood, believe the disaster that has befallen Robin is also an opportunity. An opportunity for a few stubborn Saxons, cast out or outlawed in ways equally unjust, to gather together in secret under Robin's leadership and strike back against the arrogance and brutality of the Norman overlords. That sounds so interesting. I really don't know much about the whole Robin Hood story or whatever. I've seen the movies, which we actually could watch the movie after he reads this. I think that would be fun. Watch one of those movies. I remember there was a really good one. Is it just called Robin Hood? I don't know. But that sounds so interesting. I love that. And something a boy would totally like, too. I feel like this would be great for teen boys. A girl? I don't know. I feel a lot of these books are with a boy as the main characters. I guess Penny is a girl. And honestly, I don't think it really matters. But I just feel like a lot of the vibes of a boy my son's age, a lot of the topics and everything are things that he's interested in. But I don't know because I don't have a 14-year-old daughter, so. Another really good book is The Giver. I'm sure you guys have heard of this. Carter and I actually read this to him once, and then I think he read it in school, in public school, but I think that this is an excellent book. This is actually one of my favorite books that I read in middle school, and so I think it will not hurt at all to read it again. I think it's a fantastic book. And then What's So Amazing About Grace? This probably has to do with his Bible curriculum. There's nothing we can do to make God love us more. There's nothing we can do to make God love us less. Love that. We speak of grace often, but do we understand it? More importantly, do we truly believe in it? And do our lives proclaim it as powerfully as our words? In this ECPA Book of the Year, best-selling author Philip Yancey gives us a probing look at grace, what it looks like, what it doesn't look like, and why only Christians can and must reveal the grace the world is searching for. Ooh, I want to read this right now for me. That sounds so good and something that I'm really glad that Carter will be reading about. Okay, this is Enchantress from the Stars. Interesting. Ilana is a member of a supremely advanced interstellar civilization. On a mission to the medieval planet Andracia, to her shock, she becomes the key to a dangerous plan to turn back an invasion by an aggressive, spacefaring youngling species. How could she possibly help the Andracians who still believe in magic and superstition without revealing her alien powers? Okay. Interesting. It goes on more, but and it's like very long. I don't know. This book could either be really good or really boring. I bet it's one of those books that takes a little bit to get into because it's like a whole different world, kind of like Harry Potter. You have to take some time to like get used to the new world that it's like it has to build the world and everything, which can be kind of tedious and boring, but then gets really good. So I'm hoping that about this. Soar, he's got his heart set on saving the game. So one about baseball, play ball, it says at the top. So I'm not going to read all of the backs of these books because I don't want to bore you all to tears. But anything about baseball, I'm sure Carter will enjoy. He played baseball for many years. He loves watching the Astros play. So that'll be a fun one. Pictures of Hollis Woods. I actually set this aside for some reason and then I grabbed it because I was like, I want to read it. I love all these books. So Hollis Woods is a place where a baby was abandoned. Is the baby's name is an artist is now a 12-year-old girl who's been in so many foster homes she can hardly remember them all. Hollis. Speaking of girls and boys, this is one that's about a girl. So Hollis Woods is a mountain of trouble. She runs away even from the Reagans, the one family who offers her a home. Anyway, I won't read the whole back, but that definitely sounds interesting. It's a Newbery Honor book, so definitely interested in that one. Belle Prater's Boy. One Sunday morning, Belle Prater disappeared. Ooh, so it's like a mystery. Everyone in Cole Station, Virginia has a theory about what happened to Belle Prater, but 12-year-old Gypsy wants the facts. Huh, okay. So that sounds interesting. And then we have The Mystery of the Periodic Table. I love that. I took organic chemistry 1 and 2 in college, so chemistry is definitely something that interests me. The solution to the mystery. When we look at these nice, neat, and straight rows of elements in the periodic table, of the elements we might think that it was a nice, neat, and straight road to their discovery. Nothing could be further from the truth. It was a long and difficult journey, much like the perilous wanderings of Odysseus in Homer's great epic tale, the Odyssey. Of course, the wanderings made it an adventure, and an adventure is always an exciting thing to retell. I love that one too. That sounds so cool and so interesting and something I want to read. Okay, let's see what else we've got here. Mrs. Frisbee and the Rats of Nim. I feel like I recognize this book. Mrs. Frisbee, a widowed mouse with 4 small children, must move her family to their summer quarters immediately or face almost certain death. But her youngest son, Timothy, lies ill with pneumonia and must not be moved. Fortunately, she encounters the Rats of Nim, an extraordinary breed of highly intelligent creatures who come up with a brilliant solution to her dilemma. I love that. It's like about a family, but they're mice. That's cool. That sounds really interesting. Okay, Fish in a Tree. This one looked good. Great minds don't always think alike. This one is so true. It's so perfect for homeschoolers. It says, Allie has been smart enough to fool a lot of smart people. Every time she lands a new school, she's able to hide her inability to read by creating clever yet disruptive distractions. She's afraid to ask for help. After all, how can you cure dumb? However, Allie's newest teacher sees the bright, creative kid beneath the troublemaker and helps to shine a light on her gifts. As her confidence grows, Allie feels free to be herself and gets to know other kids who break the mold. When the outsiders start to fit in, surprising things can begin to happen in Allie's classroom that show her there's a lot more to her and to everyone than a label. I love that. I think that is so, so true. Something that unfortunately doesn't happen a lot in classrooms. Those kids just get labeled as troublemaker and they just kind of get pushed aside and they don't get help. That sounds really interesting. I love that. Okay, and then this is one of the Christian Heroes Then and Now books. I have seen a lot of these. Carter read, I think, at least one of them when he was at like a homeschooler's school that he went to. Anyway, medical missionary father. So you guys probably know about these. They're just about Christian heroes. So I'm sure that one will be interesting. Okay, Shakespeare's Secrets. A Missing Diamond, a 500-year-old necklace, a mystery dating back to the time of William Shakespeare. I love Shakespeare. I've actually wanted to start reading Shakespeare like during our morning time. I love the language, and I just think it's something I want to expose my kids to for many, many years. So that's something I need to get on at some point is to add that. But anyway, I bet this will be really interesting. A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. I was very excited when I saw this. My dad actually used to read this to me when I was a little girl, so I don't really remember it because I was very, very young, but I would like to read this with Carter because I just remember like sitting with him, and I remember it being like a really, complicated book with like lots of big words and small letters, but I just enjoyed sitting with him reading it. So anyway, Charles Dickens, classic. Okay, The Phantom Toll Booth. A classic, humorous, full of warmth and real invention. A journey to the lands beyond. For Milo, everything's a bore. When a toll booth mysteriously appears in his room, he drives through only because he's got nothing better to do. But on the other side, things seem different. Milo visits the island of conclusions. You get there by jumping. Learning about time from a ticking watchdog named Talk, and even embarks on a quest to rescue rhyme and reason. Somewhere along the way, Milo realizes something astonishing. Life is far from dull. In fact, it's exciting beyond his wildest dreams. That's cool and funny. I like that a lot. Interesting. I wish I knew which ones were read-alouds and which ones were just readers and everything. I can kind of guess, but don't know for sure. Okay, Longitude. As much a tale of intrigue as it is of science. A book full of gems for anyone interested in history, geography, astronomy, navigation, clockmaking, and, not the least, plain old human ambition and greed. Interesting. Okay. It's a lot of books back there, guys. All right. Finding Truth. 5 Principles for Unmasking Atheism, Secularism, and Other God Substitutes. Ooh, I like that. That sounds interesting. Don't think, just believe? ? That's the mantra in many circles today, whether the church, the classrooms, the campus, or the voting booth. Time for a reality check. Nancy Pearcey, best-selling and critically acclaimed author, offers fresh tools to break free from presumed certainties and test them against reality. In Finding Truth, she explains 5 powerful principles that penetrate to the core of any worldview, secular or religious, to uncover its deepest motivations and weigh its claims. A former agnostic, Pearcey demonstrates that a robust Christian worldview matches reality, that it is not only true but attractive, granting higher dignity to the human person than any alternative. Finding Truth displays Pearcey's well-earned reputation for clear and cogent writing. She brings themes to life with personal stories and real-world examples. Study guide included. I want to read this right now. That sounds so interesting. So, I'm adding that. I'm kind of making a pile for myself. Okay. Echo. This one looks cool. It has a really pretty cover. I really like the cover. Not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but you know. Lost and alone in a forbidden forest, Otto meets 3 mysterious sisters and suddenly finds himself entwined in a puzzling quest involving a prophecy, a promise, and a harmonica. Decades later, Frederick in Germany, Mike in Pennsylvania, and Ivy in California, each in turn become interwoven when the very same harmonica lands in their lives. All the children face daunting challenges, rescuing a father, protecting a brother, holding a family together, and ultimately, pulled by the invisible thread of destiny, their suspenseful solo stories converge in an orchestral Christian Doll. Oh my gosh, that sounds so good. That sounds like one of the best ones. I love how it brings together kind of like a mystery, a harmonica, family. Wow, that just sounds so interesting. I can't wait. I hope that's a read aloud. If it's not, I'm going to read it aloud to him anyway. Okay, we're almost through this, guys. We're almost through this. Okay, The Clockwork Universe. In a world of chaos and disease, one group of driven, idiosyncratic geniuses envisioned a universe that ran like clockwork. They were the Royal Society, the men who made the modern world. Okay, interesting. Oh, The Gamage Cup. This is what Carter's supposed to be reading next, but for some reason he was not. So we will have to add that to his stack. Highly imaginative and amusing and thought-provoking. Okay. The mini pens have lost their past. Long ago, the hero Gamage led them in war against the horrible hairless ones. But now, bravery? Forgotten. Courage? No more. Heroes? The stuff of storybooks. Yet sometimes heroes can turn up when they are least expected. Muggles, Gummy the Poet, and Walter the Earl are not like the other mini-pins. They dress differently, speak their minds, and when Walter the Earl finds a package of old scrolls and swords, dare to disagree with the mini-pin leaders. For their troubles, they are banished from their village. But Walter and Earl found the weapons for a reason. The hairless ones have returned, and this time there is no Gamage to protect the mini-pins. This time, there are only Muggles and her friends, outlaws who must rescue the very people who have cast them out. Ooh, that sounds good. The cover looks kind of old-timey, so I wasn't sure. But, I mean, it's kind of weird. Look at this. And I think it's supposed to be kind of funny, like the hairless ones or whatever. Like, what? So, I'm excited for him to read that. Hear what he thinks about it. The Wolves of Willoughby Chase. A special 15th anniversary edition with a new introduction by the author's daughter. Ooh, I like that. Wicked wolves without and a grim governess within threaten Bonnie and her cousin Sylvia when Bonnie's parents leave Willoughby Chase for a sea voyage. Left in the care of cruel Miss Slycarp, the girls can hardly believe what is happening to their lovely, once happy home. The servants are dismissed, the furniture is sold, and dressed in rags, Bonnie and Sylvia are sent to a prison-like school for orphans. It seems as if endless hours of drudgery will never cease. With the help of Simon the Goose Boy and his flock, they escape, but where will they go? And how will they ever free Willoughby Chase from the clutches of the evil Miss Slycarp? Okay, I love it. This review says, this year can boast one genuine small masterpiece. That one sounds really good. Okay, a few more here, and then we are done, you guys. This is it, okay? So we got Disappointment with God. Ooh, this one looked interesting to me. 3 questions no one asks aloud. That sounds really good. Faith means believing in advance what will only make sense in reverse. That's cool. Philip Yancey has a gift for articulating the knotty issues of faith. In this 25th anniversary edition of Disappointment with God, he poses 3 questions that Christians wonder about but seldom ask aloud. Is God unfair? Is he silent? Is he hidden? This insightful and deeply personal book points to the odd disparity between our concept of God and the realities of life. Why, if God is so hungry for a relationship with us, does he seem so distant? Why, if God cares for us, do bad things happen? What can we expect from him after all? Included in this anniversary edition is a study guide addressing these 3 perplexing questions of faith that the author confronts. Yancey answers these questions with clarity, richness, and biblical assurance. He takes us beyond the things that make for disillusionment to a deeper faith, a certitude of God's love, and a thirst to reach not just for what God gives, but for who he is. I love that. Add that to my stack. Okay. Alright. And then we have Bomb. The Race to Build and Steal the World's Most Dangerous Weapon. This is like a hardcover. Looks interesting. Okay, and then we have Censored Science, the Suppressed Evidence. I did read a little bit of this and thought this looked so good. Could evolution be wrong? Embark on a striking photogenic journey consisting of 50 of the most convincing scientific evidences that we do indeed have a creator. God invites us to reason together in Isaiah 1:18. Such searching for truth is the basis for scientific advancement and honors God. Okay, I love that so much. I can't wait to read that myself. Okay, The Story of Science. I'm so glad that my son is reading all this. So this is kind of like that other book. The story of science, Aristotle leads the way. This is the story of science, Einstein adds a new dimension. Okay, so that's really cool. So it starts with Aristotle and then it goes on to Einstein. That is cool. When master storyteller Joy Hickam wields her pen, take heart. You're in for a breathtaking adventure. I mean, if that's on the back of what looks like a textbook, that's a good sign. Okay, and then finally, our last book, The Story of Science, Newton at the Center. Very interesting. So these are like a set, I guess, of 3. Story of Science is richly informative and illustrated. Hickam, who is also the author of A History of Us, clearly appreciates science and the matchless might of a reasoning mind. Cool. Alright guys, so this is a nice little stack of books right there. I hope that was interesting for you all. So there is so much to this curriculum and we have been really enjoying it. If you have any questions for me, please leave them in the comments below. I will be sure to respond to them. Thank you so much if you made it to the end of this video. You probably love books just as much as I do. And I hope that you will subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up. And be sure to click the bell to be notified when I post new videos. See you next time. Bye.